Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our breaking news coverage of this breaking news story. This is Steve Lookner. This is Right Side Broadcasting. We are bringing you coverage of the story that just came out a little while ago this morning, which is that the Swedish government has dropped its charge. Not dropped its charge, dropped its investigation, which could have led to charges of Julian Assange, head of WikiLeaks. This investigation had been going on for a number of years. It was over an incident that happened in 2010. The incident was I guess you could say, an incident where Julian Assange had sexual incident. How do you express this without being graphic? Julian Assange met a young woman in Sweden. They got together, they hung out, they had some sexual activity, and then after that activity, the woman accused Julian Assange of rape, and the Swedish government has been investigating this since, I believe, 2012, and since then, Julian Assange has been in the Ecuadorian embassy in London, because he doesn't want to go to Sweden. He has said he does not want to go to Sweden to face these charges because he is very concerned that Sweden will extradite him to the United States. And he does not want to go to the United States because he feels he will face charges in the United States for releasing information over the years that has been leaked to him. For example, Chelsea Manning went to WikiLeaks with her information that she had taken from the military, and WikiLeaks is the one that released it. So Julian Assange, very concerned that he could face charges from the United States, does not want to go to the United States, hence does not want to go to Sweden, hence has been hiding out in the Ecuadorian embassy in England, because Ecuadorian embassy has offered to protect him there, and while he's there, the British government can't arrest him. And if the British government arrested him, they could send him to Sweden. And if they sent him to Sweden, Sweden can send him to the United States. So this investigation into rape and other possible charges has been going on, I believe, since 2012 for this 2010 incident. And the charges were, the investigation was officially dropped today. And I want to clarify something that was said by the Swedish prosecutor today, but I will switch scenes and go to that to show you that. I'm going to show you a excerpt of a quote that came from the Swedish prosecutor, if I'm doing this right. Nope, that's not the one I wanted. Well, I'll get that in a second. So this is just the Associated Press tweeting out that the Swedish prosecutor has dropped the rape investigation of Julian Assange. Let me get, if I can, the quote up on the screen that I want to get up here. There it is. So this is from the New York Times article about the story this morning, and I'll read it. Marian Nye, the chief prosecutor in Sweden, made clear that authorities were not pronouncing Mr. Assange innocent. I can conclude, based on the evidence, that probable cause for this crime still exists, she said. But prosecutors felt that they had no choice but to abandon the investigation because they concluded that Ecuador would not cooperate and because all other possibilities had been exhausted. My assessment is that the transfer cannot be executed in the foreseeable future, Ms. Nye said at a news conference in Stockholm. So, and by the way, I just want to make sure as we're on this broadcast, because it's so early, I'm just doing this myself, none of my producers are watching. If there are any kind of sound issues or anything like that, or video issues that you're noticing on your end, I'm watching the stream myself here too. But if you notice anything, I should actually check real quick. Oh, because you can hear me, I can tell. But if any kind of issues come up, technical issues, feel free to contact me during the programming and during the broadcast. And also, part of what we do here at Right Side, for those of you who've been watching this, you know this, but part of what we do when we cover breaking news is a big part of what we do is we want to get your feedback on the story. So if you have any comments on this story, I'd love to read them on the air, or if you have any questions, I would love to, if you have any questions, I would love to, address them on the air. So as best I can. So if you'd like to send any feedback in while we're on the air here covering the story, the addresses are on your screen below. You can either go to Twitter, @Lookner is where I am on Twitter, @LOOKNER, and you can direct message me on Twitter, or you can email me, steve.lookner@rsbn.tv, and I'd be happy to read your comment and see what you think about this story. So again, we're covering this breaking news that the Swedish government has dropped their investigation of Julian Assange. Now, we just saw from this quote here, and I'll go back to it, the Swedish government is not saying that they think Assange is innocent. What they're saying is that they don't think, you can see in the middle there, Ecuador would not cooperate and all other possibilities had been exhausted. And something that this quote doesn't say, but which is important here, is Sweden has a statute of limitations. And that statute of limitations on these possible charges of Julian Assange ends in 2010. So basically, if they don't file charges by 2010, then Assange can never be charged with these crimes. And it looks like what they're saying, Sweden, is we don't think we can ever get charges filed by 2010 because the investigation isn't going anywhere, because we can't talk to Julian Assange and he is in the Ecuadorian embassy and we don't think we'll be able to. So, and they did say, I saw another quote which said, in theory, they could pick up the investigation again, but they don't anticipate doing that because they don't anticipate getting a chance to question Julian Assange. So, sorry, I'm going to go back to me here. So now Julian Assange, right now though, there's still he can't leave the Ecuadorian embassy yet in London. What he has said he wants to do is he wants to go to Ecuador. I saw a quote this morning where he said he wanted to go to Ecuador, and I'm guessing, I don't know 100%, but I'm guessing it's because he would prefer not having to stay in this one building for like the rest of his life. I mean, he's basically been in this embassy and can't leave in London for years now. And so he wants to go to Ecuador, but to go to Ecuador, he would have to leave the embassy. And if he left the embassy, he still could be subject to arrest by British authorities. Now, British authorities, I saw some quotes this morning. Let me about this. I want to get those up on the screen for you, if I can here. Oh, I also want to show you, this is a post that Julian Assange posted on Twitter this morning, and I thought you might like to see this if you haven't seen it yet. So here's the post that Julian Assange posted on Twitter this morning. That was his post. He didn't even say anything. He just posted that. So that's Julian Assange's post from this morning. It was from 3 hours ago. And again, we're covering the breaking news that the Swedish government has dropped their investigation of Julian Assange. If you would like to write in, I'd love to hear what you think about this story. Write to me at @Lookner on Twitter, or email me steve.lookner@rsbn.tv. Let's see. I'm looking at just making sure I don't have any comments here. So another thing that I noticed this morning, and I tweeted about it, is that I was getting a bunch of errors this morning on Twitter when I tried to search Assange, and it kept happening again and again and again, but Twitter was working, which I thought was odd. And so some of you sent me tweets in reply to this. Red Fairy Love wrote to me, I'm getting a lot of errors as well. My posts are being censored, not available. Started happening when I lost my last account. Ann McWhirter said she got something went wrong when she tried to see what Paul Joseph Watson had tweeted recently today. So it seems like some of you might be getting errors as well on Twitter. Sorry, and I'm just checking my email to make sure I am caught up on all your messages here. Okay, so we're again covering this breaking news. Investigation dropped by Sweden into Julian Assange. This is over the possible rape incident that happened in 2010. Assange has denied this from the beginning. He has said from the beginning, from 2010, that this sexual encounter with this woman in Sweden was consensual. He said it was consensual. Now, I was mentioning before that, you know, Assange has been since 2012 holed up in the Ecuadorian embassy in London, and he can't just leave now because Britain could still arrest him. And if they arrest him, then there's a worry, Assange is worried that they would extradite him to the United States, or they'd extradite him to Sweden as well. And Sweden could also extradite him to the United States. And I saw some posts about this morning, and I wanted to show them to you. Here's one I want to show to you. And sorry, it's just me when I'm doing this stream, so I don't have a producer right now who can like take the tweets and put them up. I need to put them up myself. So when you see me doing all this clicking, that is what I'm doing. Here's that tweet I want to show you. So this is why Julian Assange cannot just walk out of the Ecuadorian embassy in England, get on a plane and head over to Ecuador, where they say they're going to protect him. Associated Press reports this morning, UK police say Assange, still wanted for jumping bail, will face arrest if he leaves Ecuadorian embassy in London. So I think it was in 2012, don't hold me to that, but I believe in 2012, Assange was asked to appear in a court in London, England, but I believe it was specifically London, but I'm not sure about that. But he did not appear, and he was in the Ecuadorian embassy. And so since then, he has been wanted for jumping bail. And the UK did say today that they were going to prioritize his case less. So, you know, they originally had a 24-hour watch outside of the Ecuadorian embassy, so that if at any time during the day or night Assange stepped out of the embassy, they would arrest him. Eventually that became, they thought it was becoming too expensive from reports I read, and they did drop the 24-hour watch. So they were still watching him, but it was not a 24-hour watch. And now, since the rape investigation has dropped, they've said, well, this is even less of a priority for us, but they haven't said it's no priority. And as you can see from today, there's still a threat if Assange leaves the Ecuadorian embassy to go to Ecuador, that he could be arrested by England and then either extradited to Sweden or the United States. So for now, Assange is still in the Ecuadorian embassy. Again, I'd love to hear thoughts you have on this. Are you happy with this news? Are you upset by this news? What do you think about this situation? Give me a shout on Twitter at Lookner, at Lookner, or email me, steve.lookner@rsbn.tv. Happy to read your comments on the air. And what was I going to say? Oh, if you're on Facebook, hello to everybody watching on Facebook. I streamed this out to both YouTube and Facebook. Hopefully, I believe I see it is working on Facebook, so I've managed to not make a big mistake yet. I'm trying my best. But on Facebook, a thing you can do also is you can help us by sharing the video on Facebook. When you share the video, that really helps to get the word out about Right Side. And if you enjoy our coverage of these kind of events, you know, this is an event, I haven't even turned on my TV this morning because I've just been, you know, doing research on this and getting on the air. I'm guessing the mainstream media is not covering the story that much. If you enjoy having an alternative to the mainstream media for breaking news, for President Trump rallies, for coverage of news and politics and everything that's going on, we hope you consider donating to Right Side, because at Right Side Broadcasting, we rely on your support to stay on the air. We are largely viewer supported. We cannot be on the air without your donations. So if you'd like to donate, any kind of donation is welcome. You can go to rsbn.tv/donate. That's rsbn.tv/donate. Or you can also, if you're watching on YouTube, you can click the $sign below the chat window, and a little window pops up and it lets you donate. And if you do that, I'll be able to see your name and thank you on the air. And finally, we also have a Patreon site which allows you to make a monthly donation, and you can get free stuff from Right Side in return. And that site is www.patreon.com/rsbn. I also want to say a special thank you to the moderators for moderating the chat today. I see Jan is moderating. Thank you, Jan. It's early. I don't know if all the moderators are awake, but I know Jan is awake. Jan is awake, and Jan is moderating. And Jan even just sent out on the chat all of the donate information. So thank you, Jan, for all your help this morning. I have a comment here from EG. EG says, at Lookner, the investigation on Assange is, and then EG uses the S word. I'm not going to say the S word. So EG says the investigation on Assange is S word. I want to check also here and see if there's any kind of more breaking news on Assange. If Twitter works and lets me search. Here, I want to show you this. This is what I'm going to do. I just got another error. I cannot search Assange on Twitter, even though Twitter is working. Look at this. I want to show you this. So it can't be an accident. I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but if Assange is like the one thing not working on Twitter, I mean, seriously, really? So let me show you. To prove it to you, I'm going to show you. Here, what I got when I searched Twitter. No, that's not what I wanted. Sorry, let me grab that picture for you. Look! See everyone? I'm searching Assange and I'm getting, sorry we could not complete your request, and that's been happening for the last half an hour. I'm trying to get Assange news, and I literally can't get the Assange news on Twitter because Twitter won't let me search for him. I wonder if they'll let me do hashtag Assange. All right, they let me do hashtag Assange, but I'd really like to just search Assange, and it won't let me do it. And I'm not. Now, for all I know, this could be an issue where does like somebody hack into Twitter who doesn't like Assange, but that would be weird, like that somebody could mess up Twitter like that. I'm sorry. So I'm looking up hashtag Assange, but I can't look up just Assange. Let me try this one more time. It's going to really get me angry if this happens again. Yes, it's still, you at home, try to search Assange on Twitter like I'm doing. Can you get anything? Because I can't. Oh, and now Prince Thomas says I should Google Twitter Assange. Oh, Prince Thomas, is that going to be a workaround? Yeah, but I'm not getting, what it does is it's letting me search hashtag Assange. But there's a lot of tweets about Julian Assange on Twitter that don't have the hashtag Assange in it. So I want to just do a normal Twitter Assange search so I can get you the latest news on Assange, and I literally can't search him. So it's hard for me to get some more like the most up to date. Oh, I got a tweet from here. I can post this, a Theresa May quote here. Theresa May, the Prime Minister of Britain. Oops, sorry folks. Just screen capturing here. We'll have the tweet up for you in a moment. So Theresa May, Prime Minister of England, says, Any decision about Julian Assange, should he leave the embassy, is an operation issue for the Metropolitan Police. So, at least publicly, the British government is saying they cannot guarantee Assange that they will not arrest him. They've said that they've left it open that they could arrest him. Because you might think, if they wouldn't arrest him, he would just walk out of there today, hop on a plane and go to Ecuador where he's been told he could be safe. And he would not have to stay in a single building for 5 more years or however many more years. So, but right now he can't do that. Boogro writes me, Steve, Twitter is currently updating their settings. Some features may not be working properly right now. Okay, that's fine, Boogro. Thank you for telling me that. I will say though, it's a bit odd that one of the features working wrong is that I can't search Assange when I can search some other things. But it very well might just be that they're having some problems over at Twitter. EG writes in, Twitter and Facebook, especially Facebook, is getting more commie Chinese censored. That's from EG. Mark DeJean said in the chat room says, also cannot search Twitter, the normal Twitter app with Assange. I'm trying to look and see other comments about this. I'm on Firefox and it's not working. Let me try one more time. Assange. Let me search. Did it work? It's still not working. Now let me search like Trump. Let's see if that works. Trump doesn't work as well. Let me search Hillary Clinton. Maybe all their searches aren't working. That could be true. Oh, I searched Hillary Clinton and it worked. So I searched Hillary Clinton and it worked. I searched Trump and it didn't work. And I searched Assange and it didn't work. That's really weird. Come on. Twitter, get your stuff together. Seriously? Yeah, and if I search Clinton, it works too. That's really odd. So Trump doesn't work, Assange doesn't work, but if I search Hillary Clinton or Clinton, the search works perfectly fine on Twitter. Oh, by the way, and I am searching, what I'm doing is I'm searching on my Firefox on my desktop because that lets me show you the link if I get anything. So I can search hashtag Assange and see how that works. I'm trying to get you the latest updates about this, but Twitter's making this hard for me because it's not letting me search Assange on Twitter, and that's where I have all my news there. Oh, this is interesting. There's a Free Assange protest tweet that went out. Let me show you this tweet. This is from this morning. If I can get it all in here. Let's see if I can do this. All right. Oops. So, as you can see, there are tweets going out about a Free Assange protest. It says, come to Downing Street. This is in London, by the way. Come to Downing Street at 2 p.m. today and demand the release of Julian Assange. You know, there's no more investigation by the Swedish government into him anymore, but he can't leave that embassy because he might be arrested by the British government. And it says, you can read this tweet, it says, the Metropolitan Police Service in London said after the news was announced that it remained obliged to arrest Mr. Assange should he leave the Ecuadorian embassy on a lesser charge of failing to surrender to a court. This is beyond the pale. Julian is a fearless anti-war publisher, and he remains under threat of imprisonment. Now is the time to demand his safe passage from the Embassy of Ecuador in London to a destination of his choosing. Come to Downing Street today and demand the release of Julian Assange. Free Assange now. I wonder if this protest might be going on live by any chance. Let me look. Let me see if I can find anything about that. I'll show you a little bit of it. I don't know if I can, but let me see here if I can. I'll search. Let's see if Twitter actually lets me search. I am seeing, it's letting me search that, but I'm not seeing any video yet of that. Somebody finds video of a video link of the Assange protest, let me know. I'll try to get it up here if I'm allowed to do that. Oh, here's a little breaking news for you. This isn't really about this. Little breaking news though that I'll show you. That I'll tell you. Former U.S. Congressman Anthony Weiner will plead guilty to a charge of transferring obscene material to a minor. So Anthony Weiner is pleading guilty to that charge now, today. Here's another tweet about that Assange protest, free Assange protest. Let me show you that. That's not what I wanted to do. Oh, this was retweeted by WikiLeaks, actually. So WikiLeaks actually just retweeted a tweet about the Assange protest. So you can see it's WikiLeaks retweeted. They just tweeted this a couple minutes ago, and it's the they tweeted a message about the free Assange protest today from 2 p.m. at Downing Street. And what time? Right now, the time in London is... Oh, so that protest should start about 9 minutes from now. Got a message here. Boog Rose says, Steve, this is the results for the hashtag Assange shirts on Twitter this AM. So thank you, Boog. I could search hashtag Assange, but it's not letting me search just Assange, and that's the issue, because there's a lot more you get when you search Assange than hashtag Assange. Now it is working again. I can now search Assange on Twitter. Let's see what I find here. Ooh, is Drudge? Drudge has a big tweet. I wonder if Drudge is actually like leading with this. I haven't checked in this morning. He's not leading with it, but he did just tweet. Drudge did just tweet this out. And let me just show you another tweet here. From Steve Herman. Steve Herman reports, UK police say they'll still arrest Assange if he leaves Ecuador embassy for breaching terms of his bail. So there's going to be this protest today in London, apparently, that WikiLeaks has just retweeted about, where people are going to protest and say, hey, London, hey, England, you should let Assange leave the embassy, get on a plane and go where he wants, which would be Ecuador, I presume. And that protest is supposed to start in about, 7 minutes or so, by my reckoning. Cat King writes, when Twitter was blocking, when it was not allowing me to search for just Assange, Cat King wrote, it's censorship, try hashtag Assange. Yes, I did do that. Thank you for the tip, Cat King. Again, this is Right Side Broadcasting. We're covering the breaking news that the Swedish government has dropped their investigation into Julian Assange. They say this investigation can't go any further because they cannot, they are not able to question Assange, and there's a 2020 statute of limitations on this, so they don't think they're ever going to be able to bring charges against him because they can't question him, and they don't see any prospect of doing so. And so Assange is still in the Ecuadorian embassy in London, where he's been for the last 5 years, and he can't leave right now because the UK police, as it says on your screen right now, say they might arrest him if he leaves the embassy. And so the latest development is that there's a protest being organized in London to protest and demand that Assange be allowed to leave the embassy without being arrested, and that's supposed to start in a few minutes. We are taking your comments and questions. If you'd like to comment, would be interested in knowing what you think about this story. What do you think about this story? So give me a shout at Lookner on Twitter, and I will read your comment on the air as long as it's clean. At Lookner, at Lookner on Twitter. Oh, you know what's weird here? I took off the text. Ah, that's back. I didn't have that up there. So now the text is on the screen. You can write me on Twitter at Lookner, at Lookner, or you can email me at steve.lookner@rsbn.tv. I was like, I seem to be getting fewer messages than I normally do when we're on the air. And then I realized I accidentally didn't have the text on the screen where you could send me messages. So send me messages. Let me know what you're thinking about this story. I'd love to read your comment on the air. And I'm not going away. You're going to hear silence for about 30 seconds. I'm just going to take about a 30-second break real quick here. It'll be silent, but don't go away. Coverage will continue in a moment, and I will leave the video on the screen, so I will be right back. I am back. Thank you for your patience. So, let me go back to me for a second. We are here. We're covering live breaking news coverage of Julian Assange, the investigation into any possible crimes he might have committed in 2010 were dropped today by the Swedish government, but he is not. So he will presumably never be charged by the Swedish government with crimes, but he's not free to leave the British embassy where he's been holed up because the British government has said that the police very well might arrest him if he leaves there. There is a protest that is being planned to start in a few minutes, actually, in London, a Release Assange protest, and Julian WikiLeaks actually just retweeted this themselves. About this protest, and we actually, if any of you see, I'm going to check for it. If any of you see any kind of live video of that, feel free to give me a heads up, because if you do, I might be able to get it on the air here if I can figure out the exact way to do that. I think I can, but I'll have to see if any video of that comes and pops up. Now let me see also. I'm just trying to see if. Oh, okay. So Facebook is still working. Good. The streams are still working. I'm just checking to make sure they're still working. And I was going to get some of your comments about this story. So if you'd like to write in, the address is on the screen. You can write in. Let me know what you're thinking about this. Keck writes in. So Keck wrote in about this. There's another little story that came out this morning that Anthony Weiner is going to plead guilty to, I believe, passing obscene materials to a minor. And Keck says Weiner might testify against Hillary now that his plea deal went through. I don't know if there was a deal involving testimony against Hillary or anything like that, Keck. I'm not privy to that, but thank you for your comment. And I'm going to see if I can find anything more about the what's the latest with Assange. Thank you to the moderators for moderating this morning. We came on early in the morning to cover this breaking news, and I know Jan was moderating, which is much appreciated. Jan doing great work in the chat room. And let me say again, if you enjoy our coverage of breaking news here at Right Side Broadcasting and our coverage of the President Trump rallies, where we cover the whole rally, including all of the speakers, and we spend hours interviewing people who go to the rally and getting the views of average Americans who just go to those rallies and hear what they say. If you like our coverage here at Right Side, please consider making a donation, because we cannot stay on the air without your support. Your support allows us to broadcast. To donate, you can go to rsbn.tv/donate. That's rsbn.tv/donate. Or you can donate on YouTube by going to the chat room on YouTube and just clicking the $ at the bottom of the chat room. And even small donations, you might think, well, a small donation doesn't help. No, the small donations really do help. They really add up, so any amount really is welcome. So, and just to give you a little heads up on this Anthony Weiner story, because it's kind of both things are going at once. Anthony Weiner, BNO News is reporting that Anthony Weiner surrendered to the FBI this morning, and he's due to appear in federal court in the next few hours to plead guilty. Now, I don't know on that Weiner story if there are any, will he have to do jail time, or maybe he made some deal where he pleads guilty to this, but he doesn't have to do jail time for it. I'm not aware of that. I'll let you know if I hear anything more about that. Let me retweet that just so people who follow me. What? Now Twitter's not letting me retweet something. Twitter's having some serious issues this morning. Now I can't even get into my Twitter page. Come on, Twitter. Is anyone else having problems with Twitter right now? Because I am. Oh, now it's back. Here we go. Gosh. Rough morning for Twitter. Let's see. So here's a tweet from Mark Dice you might like on the Assange story this morning. Sorry, let me do a little better screen capture of that tweet. And I'll get it up there for you. Mark Dice says, reminder, Obama wanted to throw Julian Assange in prison for publishing the info Chelsea Manning gave him while releasing Manning. So Mark Dice thinks that's a bit hypocritical on the part of President Obama. Now, if I'm remembering right, Jeff Sessions had announced that the Justice Department might file charges against Julian Assange. Recently, he announced that. But, there's no way to get Assange to America, even if those charges are filed, if he stays in the Ecuadorian embassy, because Ecuador is not going to extradite him to America. And, so we'll see if anything if happens with that, if charges are filed against him by the United States. Keck writes in, Weiner might test it. Hold on, Keck. I already saw that message from you, Keck. I got that message. Somehow Twitter was saying you sent it again. Jonathan Maynard writes in, Twitter is being screwy for me too. P. Tudsbury writes in, Julian Assange is far from free and clear. Too many states want him. So, yeah, I agree with you. Look, it's always possible, unless the U.S. categorically announces that Assange will never get charged by the U.S. It's pretty dangerous for Assange to be somewhere and somewhere where he could be extradited to the U.S. So let me just make sure here that we're getting volume. I'm a bit concerned because I'm not hearing volume. Are we getting volume, people? We should be. Please let me know if we're getting volume or not. Let's try this again. Oh, good, we're getting volume. I was worried that we were having a volume problem. Okay, so you can hear me. So, Assange, really right now, even if he can leave the Ecuadorian embassy, he can't go to any country that might, in theory, extradite him to the U.S. If the U.S. press charges. So in my understanding, by the way, I might be wrong about this. My understanding is that the U.S. has never pressed charges against Assange yet. Jeff Sessions has said they might, but they have not. So really, Assange, as you're saying, Pete Tudsbury, he's not free and clear, and he really won't be in free and clear for the rest of his life, in a sense, unless, like the U.S. says they won't charge him with anything, because as long as the U.S. says they might charge him with something, he's got to be in some country where he's sure that they won't extradite him there, and there aren't many of those countries. So right now, if he left the embassy, he would presumably go to Ecuador, because they won't extradite him. But then he has to spend the rest of his life in Ecuador. Let me do a little Assange search here, see if anything new has come up. Once again, there's supposed to be this protest. Let's see if I can find anything more about that. There's supposed to be an Assange protest going on, Free Assange, directed at the UK authorities, saying don't arrest him if he leaves the embassy. And that's supposed to be going on now. So let me see if I can find anything about that. I'd love to show you some video, but I can't find any yet. I'll show you. I'll show you that tweet again from WikiLeaks where they talked about this protest. Sorry, just getting this tweet up on your screen. Nope, that's not what I want to do. So, WikiLeaks retweeted, Free Assange protest today from 1400 at Downing Street, and 1400 was 7 minutes ago. So, this protest very well might be going on. If you have any pictures or video of it that you find, feel free to pass them on to me at Lookner on Twitter or steve.lookner@rsbn.tv email. Thanks, P. Dudsbury, for forwarding me that Mark Dice tweet, but I just showed it on the screen myself. Maybe you came to the broadcast late, but I appreciate it anyway. Again, would love to hear some of your thoughts on this story. What do you think that the Swedish government has dropped their charges on Julian Assange? Write me at Lookner on Twitter or steve.lookner@rsbn.tv. Oh, Christine gave a donation of $5. Christine Bestien just donated $5 and said, thank you, Right Side Broadcasting. This is to help toward the Sturgis trip, and we'll match this with a homemade meal when you are here, Sturgis 2017. So we are looking into going to Sturgis to cover that for you. And Christine lives in the area. She's been very generous with offering to help us out with our trip. We'll keep you posted on that. So thank you, Christine, very much for the donation. And P. Tudsbury, you're saying, can you read some of the prosecutor's statement aloud? But I already did that, P. Tudsbury. You missed that part of it. But I will show people again this. I think it's relevant for people who got to the stream late. Let me just repeat that part of the prosecutor's statement from Sweden. So you can see this. The prosecutor, this is from the New York Times story. Marian Nye, the chief prosecutor in Sweden, made clear that authorities were not pronouncing Mr. Assange innocent. I can conclude based on the evidence that probable cause for this crime still exists, she said. But prosecutors felt they had no choice but to abandon the investigation because they had concluded that Ecuador would not cooperate and because all other possibilities had been exhausted. My assessment is that the transfer cannot be executed in the foreseeable future, Ms. Nye said at a news conference in Stockholm. And there's a statute of limitations on crimes on these crimes in Sweden, and it's 2020. So the prosecution does not think they'll be able to question and get Julian Assange extradited there by 2020, so they are dropping the investigation. President Trump leaves on his trip today, by the way. Just a reminder. See if I can find any more interesting Assange breaking in the last few minutes. I'll see here. See, it's hard for me to, I'm trying to get the latest updates. So now the problem is I can search Assange, but when I look for the latest updates, Twitter won't give me them. It says, sorry, we couldn't complete your request. Come on, Twitter. Seriously, Twitter, really? Really? And then if I look for the latest results of hashtag Assange, it says no results for that, which is obviously false, and there are results for that. Oops, I think I might have just got some late results on Assange. So we're going to be on for a few more minutes here covering this. If you have any comments, would love to hear your thoughts on this story. Write to me. The address is on your screen. I bet mainstream media right now is all Anthony Weiner news. Because mainstream media likes tabloid-style stories. And when they cover President Trump, they totally focus on like the General Flynn stuff and the tabloid-style stuff. And they don't have a range of stories like, hey, tax policy, healthcare, that kind of stuff. They really focus on tabloidy style stories lately, and so I'm guessing that instead of policy stories, we will hear hours and hours of Anthony Weiner coverage today on the mainstream media news networks. I'm just going to check out the chat real quick and see what's going on there. Pete Tudsbury writes, Sweden is careless with emails, and you sent me a link. I'll have to look at this later, Pete Tudsbury. Thanks for sending it in. I'll go back to me for a second. Hey, by the way, what was I going to say? So President Trump, by the way, just to give you guys a heads up, is leaving town today for his trip to Saudi Arabia, Israel, and the Vatican. And we will, if we have any cool video of that we're allowed to show you, we'll be sure to show you that later today on Right Side. So we're about to, I think, wrap up this coverage for now. I want to just go check out the chat. Oh, Barbara Braley says, gave $10 for Sturgis rally. So people really want us to go to Sturgis and cover Sturgis. I did, by the way, talk to a very nice woman who works in the... Thank you, Barbara, for that donation. That's really cool of you. If you'd like to donate and just help us stay on the air, because your donations help us stay on the air, we couldn't stay on the air without you. You can donate at rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate, or do what Barbara Braley did and just donate in the YouTube chat room by clicking the $. And Christine also donated as well. Thank you, Christine. So I actually had a nice conversation with a woman in the public information office of the city of Sturgis, and she gave me some information about the rally and about going there and covering it. One possible issue that we're going to have is if we cover, we might have to shoot on our cell phones, and it's just a question about whether we can get a good enough cell phone signal to get you good video. But this is all stuff we're looking into. Anyways, so let me just say a quick bye to people in the chat. Also, people on Facebook who are watching, appreciate you watching today and sharing the stream. I saw some of you shared it, which was very nice. Let's see here. So thank you. I want to say a quick thanks to people in the chat and on Facebook watching. I'm gonna head in soon to work to the studio. Oh yeah, by the way, you might not have known this, but this was coming to you from my apartment today. So green screen looked pretty good today. We weren't seeing a lot of pixeling and stuff, but this is from Steve's apartment studio today. But hopefully I don't fall asleep at work because I got up early. And I saw this news and I wanted to get on and cover it. And I was like, oh, but if I got up like a couple hours earlier than I normally would get up. So hopefully there was not this giant cost of me being exhausted. If you see me exhausted on the air later today, you know why I'm exhausted. But yes, so bye people in the chat room. Bye to Ket King who said goodbye. Bye to, thank you, Jan. I think, Jan, you were the early morning moderator on duty. Fantastic job, Jan, moderating today. Thanks for being the early morning moderator. Much appreciated. Steve Boshakis says, nice tie. Thank you, Steve. Thank you for watching. I'm glad the audio is pretty good, Tom. Good. I'm using a mic here, so a Yeti mic, so too bad the audio is only pretty good. I'd like it to be very good. Music World, thank you for watching. Christine wants me to take a nap. We'll see. Rob Motion, thank you for watching. Yeah, the screen worked really well. I'm shocked how well it worked. Micah Messer was our producer, big help, and Micah right now, we'd like to have Micah full time, but we can't afford it right now, but he does work for us frequently, and he did an awesome job helping me set up this green screen, set up all the lights and everything. Rob says the new mic sounds great. So this is not the new mic in the studio. This is my mic at home, but I took it from the studio with their permission. Zero Tolerance says keep draining the swamp, MAGA. Linda Hull says there was a story about Sweden deleting an email from an FBI agent. I'll have to look that up. Thanks, Linda. Rob says the sounds great there. That's good. So I'm gradually getting this system going here, where I can do this from home, which allows me to do it at early morning and late at night too. Thank you again, Steve. Steve Oshaka says it looks and sound good. Oh, Tom Tall says, I hear a little fan noise. Yeah, so the reason you hear a little fan noise is this. It's very warm here in Alabama. It's supposed to be 90 degrees today. And if I don't have my AC on while I am doing this broadcast, I might have heat stroke. The problem is the AC in my apartment is kind of loud. It's a loud fan, and there's no way to have me to have AC on. So the reason you hear that fan noise is just because the AC noise. It probably sounds like loud room tone, and I apologize for that, but there's really no way of me doing the stream without the AC going at this point because it's so warm out. And Rob says, still sounds good anyway. Okay, thank you, everybody. That's going to be the end of our broadcast. Really appreciate you watching this morning. And, of course, if there's breaking news later in the day, we'll definitely be covering that for you. I don't think I'm going to go live right now about the Anthony Weiner story, but as opposed to the networks, which I'm sure we'll cover that for hours and hours and hours today. But we will come on the air with any other kind of breaking news today. And if we can get if there's any coverage to be had of, I don't know if there's supposed to be a press briefing today. Let me look and see actually while I'm here. Does the White House have anything scheduled today? No event scheduled yet today from the White House, but maybe there'll be footage we can show you of President Trump leaving. So if there's that, or if there's some breaking news, we'll come on the air. But for now, thanks for watching. Thank you for moderating, Jan, and the moderators at the website. Thank you, everybody on Facebook, for joining us and for sharing the video. Thank you for your donations, Christine and Barbara. And this is Steve Luckner. For now, have a fantastic Friday, and I will see you all very soon.